So today I want to talk about something fairly controversial, and I think a lot of people are going to be offended at some of the things I have to say. So it's one of those. But today, here in America, a very important thing happened for equal rights and human rights here. Specifically, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy that's been in place in our U.S. military for the past 18 years, I think, has been repealed. And in the past 5 years, this policy has become very negative and people hate it. And we'll talk about the history of the policy in itself, and I'm going to do it in reverse order. So over the past 5 years specifically, people have felt that this law was in place, and the fact that it was in place kept people from living as an open homosexual and being able to live the lifestyle freely and openly that they choose to live. And that's true. If you were in the military and you openly came out as homosexual, you would be kicked out. That's the don't tell part of the policy. But the policy also had a double-edged sword there. It had the don't ask policy. Now, prior to the law being put in place, it was perfectly normal and perfectly acceptable to try to persecute someone who is homosexual and to try to investigate them and prove that they were homosexual if you had your suspicions. And this law comes along and it says no more are you allowed to try to ask. No longer are you allowed to persecute that person. No longer are you allowed to try to trap them and throw them out of the military because you think they're homosexual. Which a lot of people don't really remember that part of the history. But I'll remind you now, in the 90s, Clinton ran on a policy of all people of all race and creed and color and size and shape and sexual orientation should be allowed to serve in the U.S. military. Homosexuals had not been allowed to serve in the military for nearly 100 years at this point. Um, when Clinton wins, the people in charge realized that this could be a very explosive, negative, nightmare situation. So they're afraid that men that are in the ranks come out as homosexual. Homosexuals attempt to become part of the military, and that the military may not itself be ready for it. So you have a lot of hate and anger. And I know that sounds crazy now in 2011, but we're talking 92, 91. We're talking 16, 18 years of progress has been made since then. And I don't know, a lot of you that are young or a lot of you that are alive today can even have a clue what it was like just a decade ago, you know? But I digress. Um, so they put this policy in place as a bit of a compromise that says, we don't want anybody coming out in the military yet. We don't want anybody serving proudly as a homosexual in the military. If you want to serve, you can do it quietly. And if you do, nobody's going to try to persecute you. No one's going to try to investigate you. We're not going to do what we used to do, which is go by the nearest gay club and see whether or not we can find somebody. And we will even protect people who are harassed for supposed homosexuality. So, at the time when I was a kid, I actually celebrated Don't Ask, Don't Tell being put into place because it was a step in the right direction, a small step in the right direction. The same way repealing it now is a small step in the right direction. You know, there's a lot of room left for human rights. There's a lot of room left for human equality here, and I think it's really important that this has happened. But it's difficult to even celebrate it to me because I think people really forget in the history and that how Clinton had made all these promises and they were promises they couldn't deliver at the time safely and carefully, and now today we're finally able to deliver that promise 18 years later. So give Clinton a call, thank that guy, hug him. Don't get mad at him for putting Don't Ask, Don't Tell on the books. Don't get mad at him for okaying that. Dude is helping, man. He did some good stuff.